like to introduce Mr. Jayasankar. He is a Thai Kerala Charter member. He will moderate the session for today. And I'll just briefly introduce about Mr. Jayasankar. He is a founder director of Urja, which is molding young minds with special needs to lead a dignified life. He is an engineer by qualification and banker by profession. He has got 22 years of experience in the corporate industry. So in the banking industry. So he left HDFC Bank as a senior VP, and then he started his dream venture Urja in 2017 with the goal of creating a professional ecosystem for empowering differently abled communities. Aimed with his professional expertise in team and project management, he along with a group of 40 professionals run this self-sustaining concept.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I would now request Mr. Jayasankar to invite our speaker for today, Mr. Nisha Jose. Thank you.
Like to say, right? So, like what Divya was trying to do, I also tried doing it. Can you hear me? I think without the mic itself, I'm audible, but still, yeah, perfect. Right. She gave me a big list of 2-3 pages, and she's saying that in 1 hour we'll have to complete this talk show also, right? With a lot of pride and pleasure, I'm inviting my dear friend Nisha. I'll just read out. A good friend, my fellow charter member at TAI. Most importantly, she too walks the path of a social initiative enabler. We'll try to find out what is the difference between a social initiative enabler and a social initiative runner, right? Most know Nisha Mani as the daughter-in-law of the famous political family of K. Mani and Jose Mani. We'll try to know is that the real Nisha or something else, right? Interestingly, that's something when I got introduced to her a few years back. 20 years of corporate world experience. Oh, they have to. I'm sorry. Right. Interestingly, 20 years in the corporate world, chief consultant of Empowerment Tree, the HR consulting firm, chairperson of the KM Mani Center for Budget Research. We'll find out more about that. What is that? She's a certified competency mapper. I'm sure a lot of you guys would be interested in knowing about that. Author of 3 books. Interesting. Enabler for social initiative. That's something which I was also very keen to know about. One India, One River. I'm sure you would have been following about her initiatives of One India, One River. We'll find about that. Winner of many awards and accolades. Naturally that has to happen. Triple Masters, MDBA, MHRM, MCOM, rank holder. Correct? Amazing. Now pursuing PhD also. Not bad. Clinical hypnotherapist. Interesting. Questions will be coming. One more role that I just realized today morning when we were chit-chatting, I realized that role, but I'll take it as a surprise. An out of syllabus question will come in that. Okay, and icing on the cake, she's a chartered member of the TAI group. Give me 1 hour. Let's see whether we could connect the dots, and I'll take that chair. Nisha, over to you now. The leader connect. Let's give her a good round of applause for joining us on today's thing.
Yeah. So before you start, a warning. This person sitting right next to me, I remember him not as Jay, I call him Urja. Urja means full of energy, and that's the only name I get when Divya told me Jay is doing the session with you. I said Jay, and then she said Urja, yeah. And this guy is full of energy. Okay, so you will be thrown off your seats not by me but by him. I'll tell you.
Right. Good try, Nisha. We'll see. Okay. So while I'll certainly go into your corporate world exposure. That's what most of them would be wanting to know about this. But Nisha as an individual, you come from a very famous political family, daughter-in-law of a political family, K. Mani sir and Jose Mani. Jose incidentally is a good friend of mine. Can you share your perspective? How did you go around creating your own persona from the shadows of that famous celebrity political family, if I may to say that? Can you start with that?
Yes, I was living in a house with 2 big towering personalities. But for me, people are never a competition, and I'm not here for any competition. I was just myself in that house, and I did what I wanted to do. not hurting anybody, of course. And whatever I did, I mean, I did it with a whole heart and things like that way. And that's how I was able to build a name and space for myself. So it was not that, okay, you know, I'm in this house and I don't want to, you know, there are times when I love being associated as Achachan's daughter-in-law, K. Manisa's daughter-in-law, and my husband, Jose K. Mani's wife. But most of the time, I'd rather be known as myself, which I've already, I guess, I've earned that space in life. So it has not been any conscious effort to, you know, try to outshine or outnumber or come out of the shadow or anything like that. It just happened.
Interesting. I think that's what we are trying to figure out today, the Nisha as a person today. Okay, right? You've been a practicing HR consultant. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us sitting over here, if I were to ask them, what are the single largest issue could be hiring good talents. I'm sure you'll be able to put us some good inputs back to us, some tips, tricks, or how to interview people, or from your practical experience of being an HR consultant for over 20 odd years.
I started as a trainer. So when I started as a trainer, I started in a very small, humble way, taking training in small institutes. And then, so it's always nice to have a mentor in your life. So my mentor was Vijay Raghavan sir, who told me, Nisha, you have the skills, but your profile is not really great. The skills are there in you. Your profile is not too great. You need to build it. And if you want to, aim higher, move to Technopark, training for Technopark. In the 1990s, most of the trainers were coming in from Mumbai, and very few in-house people from Kerala, very few trainers were there at that time. So that's when I started updating and upgrading myself by going to IIMs and all that. And I did a course with TV Rao on competency mapping. And that's how I moved to consultancy. And yes, I have sat in interview panels with companies and things like that way, where it was nice to, most of the time my job was just watching the body language of the person and based on that giving my inference. So it started off like that with just observing the body language of the person and then saying whether he was truthful, honest, sincere, all those kind of things. Then when I did competency mapping is basically the KRA's knowledge, KSA's knowledge, skill, attitude of the people you identify. Again, job analysis is done. For each role, there are some knowledge, skills, attitude needed that is mapped out. And when I sit here and there is someone, let's say it's the person is applying for a job of admin, HR admin, I look at the KRAs and what are the things that you're looking for in the job and interview the person. But to reach to that level or to that stage, it wasn't very easy. Being, like you said, a political family background was not very easy for me, because people think that, okay, just because you're from a family like this, it's easy for you, you'll get an entry everywhere. But that's one thing I'm very clear of in my life till to date. I do not like to use or throw in any words of recommendation to get, an offer, for training or whatever it was. So, that I went that way. So it was a long journey to reach where I reached. 20 years, actually more than 20 years, I would say. And competency mapping was something which was my key area. That helped me later on also in, many other areas, not just for HR, as a HR consultant. Towards the end, as I was tapering off from the whole business world, I started building women. I started taking in women, training them. I used to take them for training sessions, and I've actually given my entire modules out to people. I used to get them to assist me in training. Then after that, I put them in charge of training. Like that, I built more and more people. Then when I did, and I was doing competency mapping for companies, that is helping them identify the KRA for various job roles. That time when I went, again, I was hiring temporarily women who were either married and not working, who have finished their MBA, waiting to get married. Those were my, the women that came to me, and I don't know, it just so happened I had one male, Hudson, he was there with me. He was my student from a college whom I'd identified and I hired him. And then I had this team of temporary people whom I took along with me, trained them. Their husbands or their parents had no issues because it was working with me. And we used to go on projects, do the work, submit it, come back, and for them also it was a good learning experience, traveling and all that. And yeah, then one fine day I just said, yeah, that's it.
So good, so good. So you're saying that, not just about, technical know-how alone. I mean, there's a lot of other things which you should observe and then pick up. Interesting perspective you gave about being the part of the political family was not an easy journey for you, but you did 20 years. And I can also see that over the 20 years, you progressively moved into your social initiatives. Being an author of the books, how could you connect this link between your corporate world and the social initiatives? And I could also see certain chapters on women influence and then a lot of those things. Was that actually shaping you as you transformed from a corporate world into a social initiative?
So I used to, can I put it this way? So as a kid itself, I was into social work. So small things like blood donation and, holidays. I used to take all the orphan children in my college. I used to bring them home for holidays. Small things like that I used to do, and it just grew in me. I got married soon after. While I was doing my degree, finally I got married. I completed all my 3 masters after marriage. And I believe there's something known as managing people. I'm in a family which is a very traditional Syrian Catholic family. My husband has 5 sisters. All of them studied till PG, but none of them, when they got married, they didn't work. However, I got married during my degree, upgraded my skills and education knowledge. I did that because today I was taking transactional analysis for a group of students. I said there's something known as adult ego state. When you present something to a person of authority in the adult ego state, they take you seriously. Very often when we say, oh, can I do this? Can we do this? Or that pleading and that, the child ego state, or sometimes it's like, I want to do it, the rebellious. I never presented things from any of these ego states. I was always on an adult mode. Although there was a lot of free child in me, I was still on an adult mode, telling what I wanted to do, why I should do it, what were the costs relating to it and things like that. And like you said, the work part, I used to work because I wanted to do social work. So whatever money I made as a HR consultant, one portion I used to invest in shares, which I'm bearing the fruit of it now. And then another portion I used to do my social work with. And then there was one portion I used to, like my husband always says, Kadalang konde ittekwa. I used to do deep sea diving, so it used to go under the sea because it's very expensive. Diving is very expensive. I used to do thrice a year diving abroad, cleaning the ocean and things like those. That's also a social initiative, so that also came up.
Since we're speaking about the books, since we're speaking about the books, can you just touch on, while we'll come back on a later part of the thing, and the women influence, can you just touch upon how was that? It's a different perspective you gave during that period.
So I'm a trained lifeguard, and if you ask me how did that happen, one flowed into the other, to the other, to the other, and I think I've got a small thing. Can I just?
We'll come back onto that. You were saying about the One River, One India.
No, how I got into this itself. Jumping in the water, enjoying the ocean. I grew up in a place called Puchakal, which is full of ponds, and I used to jump into the ponds. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's how I was. I was very much a water girl. And as I grew up, the first time I did my tryst with the ocean was, under the ocean was diving. And I saw a whole new world out there, and my commitment to the world around increased, as in plastics, so much of plastics under the ocean. The world down there is so beautiful. And then I started, actually diving is a form of meditation. And I realized that this, while I was one of my meditation trips, I realized that I've always been taking from nature but never giving back. And that's how really I started my true water journey of giving back. And I took part in the Piravampura clean, the thing that you see is the Piravampura cleaning initiative, Kavalipura cleaning initiative. I did a lot of, so from sea I went to river, did a lot of cleaning initiatives. Then I reached a point, and then I also updated my skills, got myself certified as a lifeguard. People have asked me, why did you do that? Believe me, I'm a person, I just go with the flow of bottle. Things just come in front of me and I do it. So there's no plan as such, you know, I'm not really planned. It just so happened. But later on, you know, the whole thing like a jigsaw puzzle falls in place. So all the skills that I learned from various activities, when the moment the floods took place, I was sitting in my house saying, I cannot be sitting here, I need to do something. And I got out with a bunch of 5. One of them was my Facebook friend. He's the one who organized 4 other boys, and 5 boys and me together went into the depths, Kuttanad, Upper Kuttanad, everywhere. So sometimes we used to go in a Taurus, get down somewhere, and then swim through. I had a life jacket most of the time with me, and I used to whistle and call out to get people. So luckily, since I was trained, I knew the techniques and skills that were needed in the water. And I needed to be safe. The first thing is safe. And whatever happens, 5:30 we close our thing. We rescued so many people. So little babies to go. There was a goat also that I rescued, which is a very funny story, which I'll say for another time. Like that, so many people we took and we brought out. We worked with the NDRF force people in distributing food. This is the group of boys that I went with. Then blood donors, Kottayam, we went with them. We've had so many experiences in the floods. And after the whole floods was over, yeah, I think I'll stop with this, yeah. So after the whole floods was over, I was sitting at home, and some experts from JNU came, and also from the Disaster Management, National Institute of Disaster Management came. And they realized that I was there inside, you know, deep inside. I've been to many places, and so they wanted me to take them to all those places. So I took them to all those places, and as I started going, I started, you know, again it was like pre-flood and post-flood, there was a research that I was doing. I realized I was doing that. So pre-floods I had already, during the floods I had already written what all I'd seen, what all I'd experienced, all that. You know, there were women. Women were always are mostly badly affected, they say, but it is not women. It is the disabled who are badly affected the most. Because, and again recently, yesterday when I just returned from Manipur, I was there on work in Manipur. Again, one very beautiful model that I saw in Manipur was, they had a camp just for pregnant women and lactating women. So this was actually a suggestion that I had given in my study. So I did a study with JNU based on the floods. I did a comparison of various disasters that happen and how women are affected, and what was different in Kerala. Definitely it was a very beautiful model of the way the camps were managed and things. But the most important thing, whenever a disaster takes place, there's women trafficking taking place, there is something or the other illegal happening. But during the Kerala floods, women were safe. There was not even a single case reported, which is a model, and this is based on a study, pan-Kerala I'm talking about. And I did a comparative study with Nepal, with Uttarakhand. Whenever there has been a disaster, there's always been something to it. And so this was my study. I presented it in JNU. After that, Ms. Amita Singh and Nivedita Haran, both of them together were compiling a book on Southeast Asian, Pacific, whatever that thing, and all the disasters that take and studies. And so they wanted to include mine. Then I tweaked it a bit. I did it based on the theory of justice of Amartya Sen, where we have the right for safety, for comfort, we have the right to live a decent life, capability theory, all that came in, and that's how I framed that book.
Interesting. Before we get into a little more serious stuff, I have one other question. I was reading about the clinical hypnotherapist. Okay, and I'm sure that's an interesting space to be in. Any memories around that? I'm sure you'll have a lot of touching memories.
Yeah. So basically, why I went into clinical hypnotherapy was, as I said earlier, nothing is planned really like that. I want to do this. I want to do this. It just happens. I see something. So as you introduced me as the first hair donor in India. So I had donated my hair, which went into making wigs for cancer patients, and I started this movement where I'm actually basically if you ask me what is my main job, what I do is I work with cancer patients. who have had chemotherapy, women who have had breast removal surgery, and the kind of psychological trauma they go through is not something small. Physically, they feel, can I put it very bluntly, they feel I'm not sexy enough for my husband. I've heard words like this. I don't feel complete. Basically, they don't embrace themselves because of the state that they are in. So my job was to bring them back. Not just, I started by giving them wigs and I associate with them, but then I went further into counseling. And hypnotherapy is not what you see in all the movies and all that, where you see people doing one dwindling one pendulum. No, it's basically tapping the unconscious mind through a technique. We put the person in a session, and it's normally for healing that we do clinical hypnotherapy. So I have done it with my patients without them realizing actually it is a hypnotherapy session. And with that, we tap the subconscious mind where they're deep, what actually the origin of, you may say you have an issue, but that issue may not be the real issue. There must be something core, something more deeper. And it could be something that happened in your childhood. It could be something that happened in your workspace. And that you're bringing it up here. So healing that, bringing it out and healing, that is what we do in hypnotherapy. And it's not me speaking. It's that, yeah. Now I've had many touching, very touching moments with my patients. They have taught me. In fact, the person that I am today is nothing to do with my three degrees, master degrees that I have. It is my patients who have actually taught me a lot in life. Right from the launch of the Say No to Hartal movement, where I met a patient and she said, tomorrow is a Hartal and I'm going to pay 4 times the money to go to RCC. 1, 2, if I don't do it tomorrow, it's going to get postponed. And for a patient, when they have already scheduled their radiation or chemotherapy, they're just waiting to finish it off. And for them, finishing it off means you're healed. So it is like, slow killing and slow poisoning when it gets, prolonged and prolonged. And this really hit me. Because for me, Hartal was, wow, holiday, go enjoy. And when she told me this, I saw another aspect to it. And you won't believe it. The next day, even I put myself on Facebook, I said, anyone wants help to go to the hospital, you can contact me. And I'm available. That time I was in Alleppey that day, so I said I'm available in Alleppey. There was one person I was able to help, but that was not to the hospital. But that started my journey of Say No to Hartal, where after that, every Hartal that came, I would pick up people from the railway station, but mainly at 11 o'clock, you go to medical college, there are so many people who have to get out, check out. Medical college doesn't have too many beds, so you finished, you're fine, okay, you're out. A lady who has delivered, yes, you finished. Even you may be bleeding, they won't wait for that, because there is only a certain number of days. Rest, you go home and heal yourself. But today is a Hartal, that's not an issue. You have to, so then they have to again pay so much of money to reach home. So I used to pick up people like this and go in and drop them one place to another, and the kind of learning, things that I learned from different people in this picking up journey is amazing. There was one very poor supervisor. I picked him up once at 5:30 a.m. while I was going to the railway station from Nagapadam bridge. And every year he waits, every Hartal he waits for me. Madam, he'll ask me. And so I asked him, why Hartal an Ariyavallo? It's a Hartal, then why do you go for work? Then he says, you come home, then I will tell you. So when I dropped him home, I saw he has an elderly wife who is sick. And her medicine bill is very high. They don't have children. And he is supporting her. One day, 750 rupees he makes. If he doesn't go on a Hartal, that 750 rupees less in his life. That is equally important for him. So these were stories. And the most beautiful, I would say beautiful and touching moment in my life is a lady chose her last moments on my lap. She died on my lap. One of my patients whom I used to visit. And my this thing is to empower them, make them go back to their normal work life. Some of them don't go back to normal. I've had a patient who went back to Mesri Pani. You know, so that's where you feel happy and proud of what you've done, where you've seen that change in their lives, and the kind of the resilience they teach you. So it's not just me helping them; they are teaching me also. Like I said, the Hartal story, and this lady who when this lady reached out to me, this is like a few months after her treatment, everything was over. She kept calling me, and I used to get bugged because I was doing my third master's then. And I was constantly getting these phone calls, and in exam time, and I'm balancing home, everything. So when I told her, listen, I've got my exams going on, she said, can you please come and see me? I said, yeah, I'll come. But let my exams get over. Okay. Then her son called me that weekend and said, see, can you come and see Amma? I think she's quite bad. So I said, see, my exams are going on. Okay, since you say Monday, after Monday's exam, when I come back, I'll come. And after my Monday exam, I took the car and went to college. Otherwise, I normally take the bus, come back. I took the car, came back, went through that area where she was, and I went there, and as I sat down, the daughter-in-law comes with chips, and then I hate the chips they give me because it's always cold chips. But the fact that they actually make that effort to go to a neighboring bakery and get me that same chips because they think I like it, because I just simply told them I liked it because I just wanted them to feel good about it. But every time I get those chips and the cold chips, and then the son went to get juice, and when so she was sitting, so I sat down, she was very frail, I put her on my lap, her head on my lap. And I felt happy in my mind that, okay, at least I came right now. And then, I was just touching her hair, and I was telling her, oh, your hair has grown. It's now I can actually even make small ponytails with it. And all that I said. And she was just looking at me, just looking at my face. She didn't say anything because she was really tired. And the next moment, I saw the son come in. I saw his face changed. I looked. She was no more. And I was shocked first. It was difficult for me to react to it. But later when I think of it, she chose me to be the last lap on before she died. I think that was, and what she taught me was, never say no.
Right.
Their need is now. When someone asks for help, reach out. This is my take. I'm not telling all of you all to do that, but this is my take. Reach out and help. People sometimes think I'm crazy when I do certain things, like going to Manipur in the midst of all the gunshots and all the firing and everything. I was the only lay woman who actually went there to work, and I believe that I did what I had to do, and that's because I always listen to something called my inner voice, my inner calling. And I'm not bothered today if others think it's crazy or stupid. I just follow my heart.
Super.
To criticize a budget. Be part of a budget. And to be part of a budget, actually it's only in September itself that whoever the finance minister starts drafting things. So we actually need to bring the notice of what we want by then. How many of us do that? We only when the budget is out, we say, oh, this could have been there, that could have been there. So my job as chairperson of Kemani Center for Budget Research today is to groom citizens into responsible citizens, where we teach them the nuances, simple. The budget can be very complicated. We're not going into all those capital expenditure, revenue expenditures, not those kind of things. What is it? How is it? Where does it come from? Why is it there? When you look at a budget this time, okay, this is an election budget, so you will see this here. Now this is another type of a budget. Now this budget, why is it that this government is stressing so much on infrastructure and less on this thing? Or why in this budget, like always when elections come, it's always a social welfare budget. Whether will it work, will it not work? So we make the students start thinking on when you see a budget, these are the aspects of it, and whether it's some things will materialize, what has materialized. Last year, what was the thing? This year, how much has that reached? So much fund has been put. And my favorite topic is gender budgeting. So I always stress on gender budgeting also. I mean, I do a special little extra time I take on gender budgeting also. In fact, I'm doing my research also on social welfare schemes for under gender budgeting. Yeah. So we simplify the budgets. Then we also do paper presentation competitions. We have once a year. Plus, I also take students. I mean, like if I find someone, you know, like really ready to learn, I take them with me, preferably girls. I take them with me outside the state for a paper competition where I register with them and we do the presentation together. So they get this experience of traveling to another state. And why I said preferably women is because a lot of young girls, they don't actually go out much. In our colleges in Kerala, they don't have that kind of an exposure. But when we are sponsoring them and taking them, they get the permission. Plus they come with me and they make the presentation, and it's a good learning for them also.
Good. That's a good one. I think in between you leaked out that particular thing, but I'll still ask that question. In our conversations, you used to say about your deep sea diving. Frankly, I didn't believe initially when you were saying, I mean, typical Malayalam actually. Okay, but I know, jokes apart. When
I know.
When we were speaking like this, during our conversation sometime back, when she was saying about this, frankly, I said, okay, maybe so I'm sure there's something which is exciting over there. But my question is slightly different. The sharks under the sea are difficult to manage, or sharks in the earth is difficult to manage?
You borrowed my dialogue. So when we were talking about this, he said, oh my God, the sharks and all that. So I said, yeah, I'm one of the first women who has dived with sharks. My daughter just walked in there, Ritika. She and my son have actually joined me on some of my journeys. We are all certified divers. So she's there to vouch on me, and she will come back and catch me and say, Tallu mama, if I say any tallu out here. So, yeah. So I always say this, under the sea, it's a beautiful life down there. And I've never had any issues under the sea. The real sharks are above. The real sharks are on land. And jokes apart, the sea teaches you a lot. The symbiotic relationship between certain anemone and the clownfish, breathing. In fact, a no made me say yes to diving. My husband and me had gone on a honeymoon, and he loves everything above the sea. He likes all the other activities, windsurfing and everything. And for me, I can't do any of those jumping from up, but I can go deep down, no problem. And it's the first time I was trying diving. So when one day we always decide, like he does what he likes to and I do what I like to do one day, and that one day was this day. And I went up to there was this Japanese dive instructor there, and I said, I would like to join up for diving. He looked at me and said, you Asian. No woman, Asian Indian woman has not dived here. Full of sharks. No, you can't do it. I should try it. No, let me try, I said. You give your name. And he thought I'm going to give my name up and not turn up the next day. And he frightened me that night, telling me all sorts of horrible things about diving. Okay? So I listened to it. The more I heard, I found it more interesting. Okay? So I was signed up for a fun dive. Next day morning, correct 8:30 a.m. I reached there. He's not even looking at me. There's a little racism here now. Not even looking at me. Whereas there was this British couple who, young couple had come there, and he's teaching them everything, and they are busy kuchikuing. They're not even listening to his thing. Finally, the girl fainted. She said, darling, and she fainted there. Then when the guy wanted to come, she held on to him so he couldn't go. So finally this poor Japanese fellow had to take me and go. And even before getting on, it is very tough, it is very difficult. I said, let me try. And that's how I started diving. A no made me say yes to diving. And when I went down there, I realized that it's beautiful. So something about me is I never see how deep the sea is whenever I jump into it. When I gave my hair, when I donated my hair, I've gone bald twice. I never thought how deep the thing that I was doing. Because if I was going to think so deeply, I may not do it. So that's it.
But any risky experiences under the sea? Anything?
Yes, I've had. So I've had like not anything big. Sharks have always been very harmless. They've just watched me. Yeah. So I've learned this big lesson of choosing. You have to be careful about the friends you choose. They can actually sink you. So in Sri Lanka, in Trincomalee, when I went diving once, there was this German guy who said, so it's all non-verbal communication you do under the sea. And there are specific signs. So only when you reach there, when you are, on the boat, who's your dive buddy. So it's not, you're not going alone. There's one more person with you. And you're supposed to go together. Okay. So, and your actual real character comes out there. My daughter Ritika here is such a naughty girl. She's forever trying to, go look at things and, poke, and that's not responsible. Divers don't do that. You just watch and you just go like that under the sea. So this guy told me one thing above the boat. He said, okay, we'll reach a spot, and when we reach the spot, I'll give you my camera, you'll have to click pictures. So I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. And so we reached that particular spot, whatever. He removed his camera. So he's got a lot of pockets. These foreigners have got such lovely, Namada dive suit will be one normal dive suit. Our pockets, everything, and also very fancy equipments. So he takes his camera out and gives it to me. So I'm holding like this camera, like this. Then the next thing I see is he's taken one big coal out from his bag. I don't know how he fixed that, put that in one big huge stick he pulled it out. So the next thing he's taken one cover out. He opens the cover, it's a boiled egg. He's put the boiled egg to the end of that stick. He's put the cover back into his pocket. The next thing I know, there's a moray eel sleeping out there peacefully. This guy is poking the moray eel's mouth with this, and I'm standing here like this. And luckily something told me this is not right. And as I moved back, the moray eel just opened its mouth and closed it. And I happened to, so that is not dangerous. Moray eel will not do anything to you, but when you have a camera right in front of it, like coming straight at your face, and that's very frightening. And what if it was some other creature? It could have attacked, right? Because one thing about animals and sea creatures or anything, they don't attack you without any provocation. And this guy provoked it. I moved aside, but my leg scratched an oyster, and it got infected. When I reached back home, I had high fever. I was treated for the fever, all because of an oyster scratch. Can you believe it? That gave it, not anything else. So as I said, sharks are harmless.
Interesting. So from deep sea into the river?
Yeah.
I think that's what most of us used to know, even now. One India, one river. Solo kayaking. How many states left? 5, 4?
No, I did all.
Oh, 100% now?
Yeah.
Union territories also?
I did 28 states and 8 union territories.
Oh, I'm not updated. Okay, not bad.
Yeah, everything. I finished
Last time I think you were saying 4 or 5 left. I think you completed.
Long time back. No, I finished it all in 9 months. 9 months is a very magical figure for me, I always say.
Oh, great.
9 months.
Tell about that. One India, one river.
Yeah. So actually I have a small, I just want to, it's easier for me to show you through slides. So during the So during COVID, I had a very bad bout of pneumonia, and I was in a ventilator. Got out of the ventilator, was in ICU, I even did not recognize my husband who came to see me in the ICU. It was that bad. And they were told, the hospital told that, okay, she's not, the same slide, no, not this one. You can take the same slide as earlier and start from where we had stopped. So, along with pneumonia and along with post-COVID, a lot of people go through depression. I went through depression. Someone like me who's done so much in my life suddenly started feeling that I'm a good for nothing. I have not done anything. I used to cry, whine. You ask Ritika, she will tell you. Even my son will take the remote from me. I'll cry saying he's taken the remote from me. It was a form of depression that I was going through. As I was telling her a little while back about depression, I very bravely and proudly say that I went through depression and I sought help for it. I got counseled, and it was during this period that One India, One River came into my mind. Basically, I went kayaking to in every state of India, every union territory of India, one river. I went. I either kayaked or rode. What you see is River Ganges in Varanasi there. Down it is Kashmir River Leader. Iparda it is again River Ganges in Uttarakhand. Molla it's Orissa Mahanadi. So different modes, different boats I used, again different modes of travel I used. That is Manipur. You know, this girl Nandini is the one who actually made me go to Manipur again this time, because I was trying to contact her, I didn't get her, for she's in a relief camp there, and she's a Methi, and yeah, I went and met her. So I used different modes. I even went on a helicopter to certain, you know, some places were that's a ferry, some places are not reachable. Somehow, like Andaman and Nicobar Islands, I went to the furthermost towards Nicobar, and yeah, so different modes, and then there were a lot of community interactions. So my objective was to get more people into the water. It was not just me go enjoy it, ride and come back. It was to get more people into the water or environment. And earlier I said, no, I used to do all this digging up plastic and all, and I realized during this COVID thing that the COVID phase, when you have a lot of time to yourself, that's when I realized that that is the negative thing actually creates a lot of patravarta and attention and all that. But if you really want something done, it has to be done from the roots. And this journey of mine, Pan India, was about getting brand ambassadors in different states and union territories of India to actually do what, you know, to either get into the water. So that if you see is Mahanadi, where it was just 4 people, 4 boys who were into kayaking, and now we've got a whole big group of people who have joined. And one thing is, when you get into the water and you start kayaking and going into the water and you enjoy the beauty, you will stop throwing trash into the water. So it is like an individual thing that's going to sprout out to a community thing. Yeah, and that was zero in Arunachal Pradesh, the one down, St. Claret's College. I went to colleges, schools, and other communities. Yeah. Winter, I saw the sun, I saw the rain, I saw the snow, and wherever I went, I collected water in a small thing. And my intention was to give it to the President of India. However, she still hasn't given me an appointment, and that's political reasons. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this is something very interesting I'd like to share with you. This is Tangetatta. These are the women of Tangetatta colony. When I met these women, I had kayaked around the estuary there, and when I met the women there, they told me that they don't have jobs, their husbands don't have jobs, they don't have money, they don't have anything to eat, their children are all either drunkards or druggies, nothing. So what can we do? And then I sat with them, and we did a SWOT, and they realized that their biggest strength was the estuary in which I had rowed. So they decided that, it is in Pondicherry. So while talking to them, we built an action plan where they take care of the estuary by cleaning it and convert the area into a tourist area. Each one had some skills. One person was good in murka, one person had a very traditional, antique, ancient house, and so that, previous slide. And the Minister of Agriculture actually flagged off my march that day, flagged off my thing. So he's first time actually seeing his own constituency, the estuary. And then when he supported them later on, I mean, I connected him to here, he's put in funds, made it a heritage area. Today, that particular area, they had a cycle run. I mean, today, they had a cycle run. All these women now are earning an income there. And that is what One India, One River did in Pondicherry. Like that, small things I was able to contribute. Like the next slide, if you see, these are the missing tribe. I stayed with very poor, simple people. I stayed in that house with the missing tribe. And you see this building here? Down with a little girl reading?
Sure, correct.
Okay, can you put the next slide? This is a school.
Oh.
River Brahmaputra flows right next to it, and every year it just eats the school. And none of the children are studying, and they're very happy not studying. So I started walking around around that village. The women are busy, it's amazing. The women in Assam, Majuli, how they are with their looms, Floods come, all their looms go. Next thing they come back again, but they don't send their children to school like that. This is this is the state of their school. Then I wrote to different people, and I had the fortune of meeting the MP there. So let me tell you one thing. All these places, I am not the wife of an MP. I am just a simple citizen of India, traveling all around, doing my part, trying to change, trying to help people, understand the waters and things like that, bring more people into the water, things like that, and that's all I did. And then one thing, like as I said, Kemani Center for Budget Research, there's something called, when you want to help someone with all your heart and mind, some knowledge that you have learned or someone that you have met in the past will come on the way. So my father-in-law was the finance minister of Kerala, and he was a revenue minister for many years. And there was one thing that he did, that was, he said that floods verumbam, vellapokkam verumbam, the revenue department has certain floods which can be used for anything that the flood destroys. And it's the first time in India that the state of Kerala implemented this, where roads were built, communities were built because they were affected by the floods. So for disaster, there is an amount that was used. So I told the same thing to the MP there. He said, the chief minister's this thing. I said, all the more better. You can use your revenue funds and build a school, and also a side wall so that it's permanent. So the side wall idea he took for his constituency in another place, but the school he's built here. That was another positive thing that happened.
Very good, interesting.
I think enough of one India, one river. We close that part up. Yeah.
I think we are almost getting on time before we get into the Q&A, but one last final summing up. Don't give me a cliche answer, Nisha. Generally, women are known as multitaskers.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all of us would have understood this multitasking thing which you're doing. An amazing personality, evolving, coming out of the shadow of the family, finding your own ways, how you connected various experiences into things. How do you sum up Nisha?
She is what she is because of the people whom she lives with.
A little more.
So, the people I've met, the water I've been to, my life partner, my husband, who both of us are poles apart. But we both, row this boat, the journey of life so beautifully together because we are poles apart. Balancing each other, the respect that we give each other. Any crazy idea of mine, I think he should be given the award for the best actor. He will just listen very calmly. My children, especially my son, is the biggest para in my life. He will stand there, Papa, you don't know what you're getting into. And he will be sitting with that very calm posture, and he will listen. And as I said earlier, the adult ego state, I present the case of what I want to do. Any new project, I present it to him, right from my Talamontadi, whether it was that, Hartal to. So there's a lot of conversation and communication that happens in my family. And I never do anything on my own without my family involved in it. And so I get them also on board with me, on the boat with me, literally on the boat with me. And that's why I said Nisha is what she is because of the people she is with.
Super.
Yeah.
I think well said. I think a lot of us know. Give a good round of applause to Nisha for patiently answering my questions. A lot of us know hide behind excuses when you don't want to do certain things. Okay, a lot of these cliche excuses comes out. Here is a lady who has told us, proven by her own deeds that excuses are something which you only create. To you, shoot. Questions. Want to go first?
No questions.
Yeah. Go on. Divya.
Yes.
Just not a big question.
Yeah,
So
it's okay.
from somewhere I heard that in deep sea, is there zero gravity under deep sea?
So basically when you go under the sea, I don't know your zero gravity theory, but basically you're very light under the sea.
Yeah.
And then we wear the dive suit and things like that. and and it's with your breathing. Actually, it's the breathing that decides how high you want to go up and how low you want to go up. And as you glide through the water, sometimes, you know, you go deep. You know, we use weights. Sometimes we use weights to balance it and keep us afloat in the water. And but the most beautiful thing is the way it's our breath. So yeah, I forgot to tell you all one thing. My doctor has told me I cannot dive for some time because my lungs are still not all right. But I told you I had that pneumonia. Only 35% of my lungs were working when I was admitted in the hospital. So that's when I thought, if I can't do this, if one door has closed, what do I do? The other door opened, and that's when I went on this long journey of, you know, all over India. So always remember in life, you know, when a door closes, there's always another door that side open, and it's for us to see that other door. And yes, as I said, like, it's through our breathing that we decide how high and how low we go when we are under the sea.
Not about the gravity.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
So, yeah, I was from the coaching and training industry. So, it's been some time I've been thinking of writing a book. But every time I sit there, it's not possible to process. I get a lot of ideas. I do the mind mapping, everything. But to get it to process and how to connect the people on book publishing and everything, may I know about it?
Yeah. So there are two ways to writing a book. I mean, publishing a book. The publishing part, one is you can do self-publishing. DC has it. DC Books, DC Ravi is actually one of our members. So they are one set of people who do self-publishing. So you pay the money for your own book, publish it, and then you get whatever this thing. Second is, if your book, if they read the whole, or you can have just the gist of the book, and if they really like it, then they will publish it for you. But it's a continuous process where you know, you have to get back to them, and, you know, to and fro, they keep telling you, you have to change this, you have to change that, you have to edit this maybe, or work on that. Then you have to be very open if you're going to do a book under a publisher. It is not difficult to get a publisher if your topic is very interesting and unique. It is not difficult. The main thing is, you know, you should have an idea of what you want and write it out. My fourth book that is underway is a book of poems. Each poem based on a river that I visited in India. So that's my latest, and that I don't know whether I should do self-publishing or whether to go for. I'm still in that.
All your books are self-published, or is it?
No, the first two are self-published. The third is Palmgrave. It's a international publication. The third was an international publication. The fourth is I still haven't decided.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Hi ma'am.
Hi.
Basically I am from social science background. So I would like to know that whether a student or a person from social sciences can really take up the startup or the entrepreneurship. So what is your view about that?
See, entrepreneurship, anyone, if you have an idea, and it's not just about an idea, you also need funding for that. Anyone can do it. And today there are so many good people out there you can hire to help you manage it if you feel you don't have that in you. But most of the time, an entrepreneur is someone who holds his or her product like a baby, fondles it, and doesn't really want to give it to someone. They'd rather do everything on their own, but they shouldn't do that. You need help for various things. I remember some years back when I met a particular channel, I don't want to name the channel, a particular channel, I met a person on the flight, and so he was just starting this channel, and so I sat, and he didn't know I was a politician, so he spoke a lot to me about his channel with great ecstasy and everything, and I realized something. He's got only the crew. He's got the person to read the news, 3, 4, all the best people from the industry is poached and taken. He has just one person to handle finance. No HR, manager or nothing and all that. And then I asked him this question, how are you going to run? Studio, state-of-the-art studio, all that is there, nothing else. But he's so passionate about it, and all he's thinking of is this. I said, but you need someone to manage your funding. You need someone to manage this. You need daily expense and the monthly expense and the capital expenditure all done by one person and CFO. And he's going to leave you for sure, I said, if you're going to make him do daily expense also. That's when, as a HR consultant, I took a 1 year contract with him. And not 1 year, sorry, it took 1 year. But I joined up and did a whole lot of, I set up the entire structure, organizational structure for him. Hired, helped him hire the people, taught him what business was, and I moved out. Yeah. So sometimes anyone can do it, but you can be passionate, but sometimes you also need help to do something.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, I'm Dr. Shamina Benson. It's my privilege to meet you, and it was a wonderful conversation that we were privileged to hear from you.
Thank you.
Just a question, how does a person, an ordinary person with a lot of ideas, scale up, and how is he able to accomplish the dreams that he has for the welfare of the people? I would like your suggestions.
So when you said an ordinary person, whether you're ordinary or extraordinary, if you have an idea and you believe in it, you will scale up. So it's got nothing to do with an ordinary person or extraordinary person or a rich person. But there are many fundas that are needed when you want to do business. Finance is one of the main things, and I really stress on that. So that is one thing you need. That's a lifeblood of your business. And if you're set on that, your idea, everything is in place, you can do it. So there's nothing like an ordinary or an extraordinary. Today, and Thai is one nice place you can associate with, because if you have a good idea, we have something called CAN, right?
CAN.
Yeah, CAN. You can speak about CAN.
No.
You can just tell me about CAN.
No, CAN is a Kerala Angel network. Inside Thai. We bring in good ideas into that, and the team will evaluate that. The biggest advantage of CAN like organizations, they're not just investors into your startups. They are actually part of your management, give you what she was saying about that additional things which is required to connect the dots. You have an idea, but how to scale up. You've got people with experience, sitting there and then helping you, but without poking every day. I think you should be part of some of those professional organizations so that they'll help you, guide you. And I'll leave it there. And just to you on a question on social enterprise, both of us run the social enterprise entrepreneurship. Don't look at social entrepreneurship from a business entrepreneurship angle. Because there are two balance sheets in the social entrepreneurship. There's a financial balance sheet and there's a social balance sheet. And you have to decide the priority which is more important and then do a very good balance between the two. And as you rightly said, it's not an easy balance to keep. Because very often the line between a social entrepreneurship and philanthropy is very, very narrow. Okay, charity. So it's a difficult balance to keep. That's my piece of advice.
Therefore, any tricks to manage people in the firm?
Okay.
Yeah.
In a firm, many tricks to manage. So I'll just give you my experience. So the people that I worked with whom I had in my firm, which is a very small firm, and if you ask the same thing to other people also, the first is how you connect to them. If you connect well and you're very genuine with them, things just fall in place. You need to be formal when you have to be formal, and put your hands around the person when you need to put the hands around the person. There is a fine line you need to draw between formality and informality. When you mix the two, then it becomes very difficult for you to tell someone to do something. And I believe that I was a very nice employee, because I used to put my hands around the girls that I had. We used to go for movies also in between when we used to go. But at the same time, there was that line that I drew, and there was that where I asked them, you have to deliver. And they did. That's because right from the beginning, you set the, ball rolling. Yeah.
How to take if I get something, I think I'm audible to.
Yeah. No, one second. One more thing. So relationship is very important. Maintaining relationship. So you need to be very open to criticism, even if you're a boss. If you see something's going around and it's some repeated pattern, you need to check what happened. It may not be them that's an issue. It could be even you. And that's something where you need to be open to. firms have this 360-degree appraisal where everyone gives an appraisal. I think that's a fantastic thing where everyone gives an appraisal, on you, whether you're a boss or whether you're a subordinate. And
I didn't get that,
so everyone, including 360-degree appraisal. Appraisal means you're asking feedback
Okay.
about your performance. So let's say you are in HR admin role, and so everyone who reports to you, even the supervisor, watchman, gives a feedback about you. 360 complete, and even your family members have to. That doesn't happen in our companies. I mean, there are companies that do that, Standard Chartered Bank and all does that. But there are companies that just say that it's 360. But that way, when you get this thing, that is being managed by the HR. So they get to see full feedback about each person. And if there is some repeated things in your way you relate to people, that's something which you have to be open to. I think as human beings, we all should be open to criticism and open to correcting. And there is no such thing as Onyan Pitro Vaisai. It's like, my children tease me saying menopause. That should never be an excuse for someone to say women are smiling out here. That okay, we can do what we want and get away with it. It's just an excuse that people use. There's no such thing like that. At any age, you can correct yourself.
Hi, I'm really sorry I came late, so I missed your first part. Okay, so I'm an educationist and I'm the researcher for the K-12 sector, I can say. I'm researching on curriculum and putting what are the future technologies possible to. Okay. And this budget research, I think the first time I'm hearing, and from today morning I was working on it. Okay. So in your opinion, okay, in what age we can have this about budget? Okay, I think for nothing anywhere in the curriculum it is not there.
Yeah.
And budget maybe union central state in a matra budget, but in daily life use again from HDFC loans or credit card started under Indian economy completely or failure budget proper. Mostly as a woman, again maybe in a company. So in what age and as a politician, do you have any idea which one we can put it in our society?
So I would like to correct you, I'm not a politician. Politics is not my cup of tea or coffee. That's a different matter. It's only my husband who's in politics. I'm a very neutral, I love everybody kind of a person. Okay. So so you're asking what age can someone learn about budgets? As a child, when you teach your child that this is the budget that we have for you to spend money, you're actually teaching them how to manage the budget of the house. When you say that this is your pocket money every month, and please give me an account of how you spent it, and then you help, and then your son or daughter comes and says, I can't manage with this 5,000 per month. So come tell me what is it, where is it that you're spending more? And you sit with that person and then you do, that is also budget management. And the best finance ministers, I'm quoting my father-in-law here, is actually the woman in the house. She is the best finance minister because she is the one who keeps really tap of everything that's happening around. And I go one step further with my experience. The best finance ministers are the women I have seen in the most rural areas. I work with a lot of women, and I remember there was this 1 year full, we did these financial awareness classes for women in remote areas, and I realized there was nothing much I can teach them. They had lots to teach me. They were asking me about this loan and that bank and this thing and that thing, and they are more aware than I feel than the financially comfortable women. That's been my experience. And so when you talk about the state and union budget, we start from 10th, 11th, 12th, we started giving. We have a tie-up with CMS College also where, we run one programs along with them. So, I mean, I think ideally, when you talk about the state and union budget, I think you have to be a little older too. And again, we don't go into real, the real deep core fundas of the budget. We simplify it and give it to them.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can we have the last question? So, I would just like to end with this poem which I wrote, written. It's called I am meant to be me. I originated from every drop sent down from the high above. I laugh at times, smile at times. I'm naughty at times. I conquer at times. I get angry and flow ferociously. I move even the tiniest pebble on the bed, and at times leave the smallest shrub unchanged. I am made from all the places I touched, people who visit me. Today I look at the world around and plead, leave me to be me, while you to be you. For I was made to flow and be me. Who is this me? Is it a river or is it me?
Both. Super. Tiger has to come.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes,
That's
my
good.
positioning okay.
Yeah. What about that's it? Fine. All the best. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I would now request Mr. Nasif of Kerala Startup Mission to...
KSU മാത്രം മതി ടൈം കൂടെ വേണം. I know. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and one more announcement. Actually, December 15th and 16th, DICON is announced. Yeah, DICON Kerala 2023 will be on December 15th and 16th. Please block your calendar. It's at Le Meridian. And see you all there.
Even I can also add 4 more flagship programs. So coming this September 29th, next month, we are hosting the Women's Startup Summit. October 9th is like IED Summit. That's an annual gathering of all IEDC colleges anyway. That is, even it's not relevant for you. November 16 and 18, we are hosting Huddle Global, one of the largest, most coveted startup summit happening in Trivandrum, in Kovalam. Then December again, around 7th or 8th, we are hosting the first Sustainable Development Goals Impact Summit. These are the like major flagship programs coming September to December we lined up. And also you can scan this QR code to part of this women community. They are doing some incredible work. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us.